There was once a young girl named Yea-Nee. Yea-Nee was the apple of her parents' eyes. She was as beautiful as she was smart and very humble. She received many awards and certificates for her good work. She was awarded a scholarship to use after she graduated from high school. Everybody in the town wanted her to marry into their family because she was so nice. But Yea-Nee was focused. She had her eyes on the prize. She wanted to move to Monrovia, attend university, and become a doctor. Yea-Nee lived in a village, and her parents' plan was to have her educated. They supported her dreams. There was a special festival in the village where farmers displayed their finest products and crafters displayed their finest arts. At the festival, there was dancing, eating, and lots of happiness. All the young girls dressed in costumes and danced. Yea-Nee usually won the dancing contest, and all the boys came just to watch the girls dance, especially to see Yea-Nee. But this day, the festival revealed a shocking secret about Yea-Nee, a secret that even she didn't know. The townspeople watched Yea-Nee and couldn't believe their eyes. In a village where only married people had babies, they wondered if she was sick because her stomach looked so full. Yea-Nee's condition became the talk of the festival. The next day, as Yea-Nee and her family slept, they were awakened by a loud cry. It was Yea-Nee's aunt. She cried loudly, saying, "Why did you allow this girl to disgrace the family?" Her accusation shocked Yea-Nee's parents, and even Yea-Nee herself. Yea-Nee stood there, her stomach large, looking nervous. Her father gave her one look and knew what was happening. Her mother, realizing the truth, fainted. Her parents, in tears, asked who was responsible. At first, they thought she was being stubborn, but after many efforts, it seemed like she did not know who got her with child. Neither did she even know she was pregnant. This made her daddy even more frustrated and angry, and he said, "You have brought shame to our family," he shouted. "Leave this house at once!" Yea-Nee cried and begged for forgiveness, but her father did not listen. He was very upset. Her mother, still weak from fainting, could only watch as Yea-Nee left their home with tears streaming down her face. Yea-Nee knew little about being pregnant, but she did know that 4 months ago, when she had cooked for Mr. Colley at his house, everything had changed. Mr. Colley was the assistant minister for operations at the Ministry of Taxation and visited the village about 6 times a year. On the day she cooked for him, she had fallen asleep and woke up with pain in her private area. Too ashamed to tell her parents, Yea-Nee kept quiet. Given Mr. Colley's status as a married and educated man, she didn't think about it further, as rape was not part of their culture. Now that she is accused of being pregnant, she decided to go to Mr. Colley and ask for help. Mr. Colley had always been nice to her, so she decided to tell him her problem, hoping he would give her some help as she did not know what to do. Yea-Nee hurried to Mr. Colley's house and informed him that her stomach was getting bigger and her parents said she was pregnant. As soon as she finished her explanation, Mr. Colley called her a stupid girl and asked her to leave his house, accusing her of being nothing but trouble. She asked him if she could stay in his house and work for him. He refused and told his security to walk her out immediately. In a faraway village, there was an old woman who had been sent away because people thought she was a witch. She helped a young woman named Yea-Nee deliver her twin boys. Life was very hard for Yea-Nee and the old woman. They had no money, no food, and they lived in the old woman's small house. Yea-Nee missed her parents a lot because they were no longer around. She felt sad, but her twin boys made her very happy. Yea-Nee decided to work hard to give her boys a better life. Yea-Nee decided to leave the village and go to Monrovia, carrying her twin boys on her back. The journey was long and tough, but Yea-Nee was strong. When she got to Monrovia, she found a small place to live with other homeless people. She was grateful for the chances the city gave her. She did many different jobs, like cleaning and washing. Every night, after putting her boys to bed, she studied hard, hoping for a better future. The other mothers in the community helped Yea-Nee take care of her boys while she worked and studied for the university entrance exam. Her hard work paid off when she passed the exam and got a scholarship. Over the next 4 years, Yea-Nee finished her pre-medical studies and was ready to go to medical school. Even though she was doing well, she still thought about her parents and wanted to see them again and thank them for their love. Yea-Nee's boys did well in school and got scholarships to a good school in Monrovia. Yea-Nee got a good job and could provide a nice home for her family. Thank you for tuning into Everything a Freak and listening to the story of Yea-Nee the Pregnant Virgin. If you enjoyed this folktale, don't forget to subscribe, click the bell for notifications, and give this video a thumbs up. Your comments are always welcome, so feel free to share your thoughts below. One of the employees, a lady named Mary, became friends with Yea-Nee. Mary often talked about her tough life with her husband because she couldn't give him any boys. Yea-Nee told Mary it wasn't her fault. Women have XX chromosomes, and to have a boy, the man needs to provide a Y chromosome. Mary said she was once pregnant with a boy, but she had a miscarriage 15 years ago. Since then, she and her husband have hardly been close. Mary told Yea-Nee that she hopes to meet the boys someday, as she feels like she knows them from all the stories Yea-Nee has shared. Yea-Nee responded, "My boys, whom I am forever grateful for and who have given me the strength to keep going, were brought into this world through a rape. A government officials that my family respected asked my parents to allow me to cook a meal for him. He lived next door to my house. After cooking for him, he offered me a bottle of Coke. I drank the Coke, and I blocked out. I woke up a few hours later in immense pain between my legs, and I was bleeding. I had no idea what had really happened to me," Yea-Nee continued. "Over the weeks, I endured the pain and went on with my normal activities, completely unaware that I was pregnant. It wasn't until the day after the festival, when my aunt alerted my family, that the truth came out. My parents were devastated, and I was in shock. I had no idea who had gotten me pregnant. I remembered what happened at the government official's house, so I went to him, hoping he would give me a place to stay after my father put me out of our home. But he called me a fool and told me to leave. I couldn't bear to beg my parents to take me back. The pain in my father's eyes and the way my mother fainted when she learned of my pregnancy haunted me. I was completely traumatized. An old lady took me in, but life was incredibly hard. We had no food, and I struggled to breastfeed my babies. The old woman was very kind to me, but I knew I had to move to the city to pursue my dreams. So when my boys were not even a year old, I moved to Monrovia. I took any job I could find to support my children and continue my education." Mary gave Yea-Nee a warm hug. Later, Mary's husband arrived to pick her up. When Yea-Nee saw him, she became terrified and ill. "Do I know this man?" she asked herself. But what struck her was the uncanny resemblance between him and her own sons, Gardea and Garnawe. The similarity was undeniable, and it shook her to her core. She realized she was face to face with the man who had taken away her innocence at only 15 years of age. This is the man who attempted to stop my parents' plan and my dreams. Suddenly, she became weak and pale, like the blood had left her body, and she was about to faint. Mr. Colley, seeing the look on this beautiful young doctor's face, reached out to hold her. That was when Yea-Nee yelled, "Get your pedophile hands off me!" At that moment, Mary arrived, dumbfounded to see Yea-Nee, normally a calm woman, speaking those terrible words to her husband, who was only trying to help. Do these two know each other? She thought. Just then, Gardea and Garnaway arrived with the driver to pick up their mom from work. They spoke to the Collies. When Mary saw the boys and noticed how much they looked like her husband, she yelled, "Oh my God!" Mr. Colley turned to see why his wife was yelling, and he became frozen at the sight of these strong, handsome boys who looked just like him. Mr. Colley knew what was at stake. He started to cry and said to Yea-Nee, "Oh my God." He was horrified and filled with pity. Yea-Nee did not say a word. She quickly took her boys' hands, and they left the clinic in a hurry. The boys didn't fully grasp what had happened. only that they saw a man who looked just like them. The next day, Yea-Nee quit her job at JFK Cardio Clinic. Her decision to quit her job was driven by the overwhelming need to avoid the trauma of seeing Mr. Colley or his wife again. The mere thought of encountering them brought back painful memories she couldn't bear to relive. Meanwhile, Yea-Nee had finally received her clearance and was about to become Dr. Yea-Nee. As graduation day approached, she knew she had to make amends with her parents and the old lady, who had helped her along the way. In her mind, she had finally solved the problem. She had fulfilled both her parents' dream and her own of becoming a medical doctor. On top of that, she had wonderful news. She had earned a scholarship from Johns Hopkins University to further specialize, thanks to her excellent grades. Filled with excitement, she rehearsed how she would share the news with her parents and started preparing for the long trip to the village with the boys. She prayed that her family would be alive and in good health when she arrived. She also worried about whether they would agree to move to the city so she could care for them. With so many thoughts and wishes swirling in her mind, she prayed that everything would go well. Make sure to subscribe to Everything a Freak for more exciting African adventures, travel stories, fascinating tales, and facts about Africa. Don't forget to hit the notification bell, like, and leave a comment. Yea-Nee and her boys took a trip to the village to bring her parents and the old lady to her graduation. When she arrived, she felt so happy to see her parents again. Her dad saw her and shouted excitedly to her mom, "Get the biggest goat and the best palm wine." He started singing and dancing, and soon everyone in the village noticed how happy he was. "My daughter was lost, but now she is found. I thought she was gone forever, but now she is here, thanks to God." Her mom was really excited to see her daughter. Yea-Nee introduced her boys to their grandparents, and her parents were so happy. Then Yea-Nee told them that she hadn't given up on their dreams or her own. She shared that she was about to graduate as a medical doctor from A.M. Dogliotti Medical School in just 2 weeks, and she had also won a scholarship to study at Johns Hopkins University in the USA. Her parents cried tears of joy, and the villagers joined in the celebration. Her father then began to apologize for making Yea-Nee leave home. He said that after a few months of missing her, he tried to find her, but was told she and the boys had gone to the city. He cried, not knowing where they were or what challenges they were facing. He thanked her for raising such handsome, smart, and well-behaved boys. But Yea-Nee told him not to apologize, and instead asked for his forgiveness and blessings. He told her that he had blessed and prayed for her every day. Yea-Nee went on to say, "You were the best dad to me. You taught me to want to succeed, and I love you both so much, Dad and Mom." Her dad also shared that he had met the old lady who helped her, and was so grateful that he asked her to live with him for the rest of her life since she was poor and couldn't take care of herself. Hearing this, Yea-Nee was very happy and thanked her parents. They called Mama UJ, and Yea-Nee hugged her and introduced the boys to her. Now, Yea-Nee felt at peace. Her parents went with her to the city, and Yea-Nee graduated with honors. Her parents and Mama UJ were there to celebrate with her. After the graduation, they all lived together in Monrovia, while Yea-Nee prepared for her trip to the USA. Her dad said, "Mr. Colley, his wife and his parents were here last week. They brought us money and gifts." He cried and begged for forgiveness. "Before his visit, I had no idea who got you pregnant." Yea-Nee then said, "Dad, do you remember when he would come over and ask me to cook, and Mama would say it was okay to make his food? You trusted and respected him so much. One day I was asked to go and cook for him, and that day he gave me a drink. I felt in a deep sleep, and that was the time he took advantage of me. I was confused as I was only 15 and a virgin. I did not really know what happened at that time, but I woke up in intense pain and lightheadedness. When it was confirmed that I was pregnant, I knew I had no interaction with a man, so I concluded it was that night that he took advantage of me. I was too embarrassed to tell Mom, and I was unsure about pregnancy and all of that, so I did not want to accuse a man of his status. She explained with tears in her eyes. Her boys were present, and they heard most of the discussion. With my exposure and cases I have investigated at the hospital, Dad, I believed he drugged me and took advantage of me. After you asked me to leave, Dad, I still didn't really understand what he had done to me. I went to his house to ask if he could let me stay and work for a place to live. Or maybe he could have just asked you and Mom to let me stay at home, but instead, he called me a fool and said I was a troubled child and should leave his house. Her dad got angry, but he knew he couldn't show it in front of the boys. He hugged his daughter and said, "It's okay. You've made me proud." She continued, "I understand why you were so mad. I was so ashamed that I let you down that I stayed away from you. I knew how much my actions hurt the family. I ended up living with an old lady in a very remote part of the village for a year. I was never mad at you. I was just too embarrassed to face you." Her dad felt better knowing it wasn't his fault. "It wasn't your fault. You were hurt, and I didn't look into it. I saw that man many times after, and he would talk as if you were a bad girl who let me down. Your mom and I fought a lot. She blamed me for you disappearing. I was sad and heartbroken for years because I didn't protect you, only worried about what people would think. Mr. Colley did the worst thing in my eyes, but these boys you love so much are his sons. Whether we like it or not, they will find their father someday. And since he has a lot of money and no other children, he might even take us to court. It's better if you handle it on your own terms. I'm asking you to accept his apology because he has been through a lot. I saw his parents look disgusted when he admitted to drugging you. I saw how embarrassed he and his wife were when I told them off. And your mom cried because his actions caused so many problems for our family. Even though he thought you were nothing, God has shown that you are meant for greatness. Since God can't come down to ask you to forgive him, we, the people on earth, have to do it. Please forgive him, Yea-Nee." Yea-Nee felt sad and struggled with her emotions. One day, while Yea-Nee was with her parents, Mr. Colley came to her house. He looked much older and very sad, like he had aged a lot since she last saw him. He got down on his knees and apologized to Yea-Nee and her parents. "I have done wrong to you, your family, my sons, and God. I don't deserve to be here today. I am so ashamed. I am asking for your forgiveness, and if you want, please let me be a part of my sons' lives, even though I don't deserve to be their father." Just then the boys arrived and understood what was happening. They knew this man was their father, and that he hadn't been around because he had hurt their mother. Yea-Nee had always taught her children about forgiveness and love, just like her parents and Mama Yuj had taught her. As she looked at her boys, her parents, and Mama Yuj, she knew it was time to forgive and move on. She felt that forgiving Mr. Colley was the right thing to do. "We will forgive you," she said, "but you have to promise to be kind and help others." Mr. Colley nodded and promised to change. The boys welcomed their dad into their lives. Mr. Colley was a rich man and was very proud of his sons. They were smart, handsome, and respectful, and he was really happy about that. Dr. Yea-Nee went on to marry a good man who was also a doctor. They had 2 more children, a boy and a girl, and she was very happy. The lesson of this tale is about forgiveness, love, and doing the right thing. Even though Mr. Colley did something very wrong and hurt Yea-Nee, she learned to forgive him. Forgiving others, even when it's hard, can bring peace and healing to everyone involved. It's also important to remember that being kind and helping others can make up for past mistakes and lead to a better future. Lastly, this story teaches us that family and love are powerful. Make sure to subscribe to Everything a Freak for more exciting African adventures, travel stories, fascinating tales, and facts about Africa. Don't forget to hit the notification bell, like, and leave a comment.